All right, guys, this morning what we're going to do, we're going to work on a field hasty zero. All right, a lot of times you don't have the opportunity to always have a nice 100-meter or 100-yard berm that you can actually slow down and shoot at. You know, up here on this cliff side, we don't have anything 100 meters out. So what we're going to actually do is go ahead and zero our weapon system at a distance range. All right, and then we're going to manipulate the PDA, change the zero under the gun for that range, and we're going to do pure holes all the way out. So if you're running a mil dot, we're going to go ahead and just run it that way. You're going to dial until you're hitting, and then from there you're going to tell your gun under your PDA exactly where you're at. Same thing with the horse. You're going to actually dial until you're hitting with your crosshair. You may be 330 meters out, you may be 262, doesn't matter. You want to find something somewhere close, all right, because the algorithm doesn't separate at the closer ranges. You already know your muzzle velocity, all right, so none of that's going to be a problem. We will get barometric pressure, get temperature, plug all that information in. All right, we have a little bit of wind, so that's not going to be a problem. Y'all are doing real good calling your winds. So really what we're focusing on today is you're going to dial your scope to hit with your crosshair, and then you're going to change your zero under your gun information in your PDA, and at that point then you'll roll forward from there and just do pure holes from that point forward. All right?
All right.
All right.
This will work out a little bit good for me because I don't know if I didn't torque them down all the way, but mine is a little bit loose right now. So this will pay off for me.
Interesting. I tell you what, let's do something different then. Everybody take your scopes off, pass them to the right. This is something that most people really kind of freak out about.
It's just like sacrilegious or for you.
Yeah, it's kind of sacrilegious for a lot of people. It's kind of like getting a good zero and a good dope card is some kind of voodoo. People do not want to touch their equipment. It's like, hey man, my gun's been zeroed for 17 years, I really don't want to touch it. All right, we got to get past that. Getting a good zero and getting a good dope card takes all of 5-10 shots and you're done.
That's true.
Right, this is very easy. So everybody, jerk your stuff off, pass it to the right. All right, so while y'all are doing this, I want to explain something. Now we've more simulated a broke scope drill, all right, than what we were going to do initially. All right, but this is to get us out of our comfort zones. This is kind of goes back to the basics, understanding the fundamentals and making better use of them. So what we've done now is we have different bias on the rails. All right, we may have to slip turrets, we may have to do different things now. All right, so you're going to do the same thing, but initially what I want you to do is you have to find where your gun is actually hitting now. We'll make the correction for wind. We'll make a good wind call, make the correction for wind on your scope windage turret. And then from that point, I want you to find out where you're hitting. If you're hitting a mil high at 300 meters, which should be, you know, closer to at 300, what's your hold, 1.5?
1.5.
All right, so if you're hitting a mil high at 1.5, you basically have 2.5 on your gun, which is really close to like a 410 meter zero. All right, so at that point, you'll plug in 410 meters and we'll run the course of fire. A lot of times you'll find guys slipping their turret or dialing turrets, all right? As they dial the turret actually slips. And so they're feeling the click, 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 and then it just runs and they get no clicks and they think, oh my gosh. And they try to turn it back, it may click 1 or 2 and then it turns again. And by this time they're doing back and forth and trying to find out where it's at and they don't know where they're at. All right, they don't know how much they've dialed on, they don't know where their scope's at. And this basically kind of simulates that a little bit. So it's real easy to go through the process. There's several different ways to do it. If I was actually dialing all the time and wanted a 100 meter zero, I would actually dial till I was hitting with maybe a 1 mil hold or even my crosshair. You can do it either way. If I had a 1.5 for a 300 meter zero, I'd dial until I was hitting with 1.5 mils. All right, then I was good with my turrets at that point. If you wanted your turrets to be correct, you could actually slip them at that point to 1.5, all right? That's, or back to 0 if you're holding. If you're dialing it to where you're hitting with your crosshairs, you'd actually slip your turrets to 1.5 mils, all right? So either way that you want to run it, we'll just do it a little different with everybody so we can get, as far as the classroom, y'all can see how we can actually do it several different ways, all right?
Todd, can I ask you a question about scope leveling? Because I noticed like when Mike's scope here on my gun, for some reason the reticle looks crooked as hell.
Yeah, probably because everybody cuts their rails a little bit different. It may not be as mil spec, I would imagine. I've seen that before on mine. So is that going to affect Travis?
Standard Picatinny is not necessarily standard.
Standard, yeah.
So,
well, I know there's different controversies there as well. I mean, what should be level?
You know, really, you want your level or your reticle level with the world every shot. That's the most important thing. It can be slightly canted. You know, usually if you're a right-hand shooter, it's more acceptable if your cant is top right, all right? And a lot of, you know, big-time shooters in competition actually cant their weapon system.
Really?
If you think about it, the ergonomics of your pocket is more in a cant position anyway. All right, so a lot of the guys actually cant their guns that way, and then they put levels on their scopes or on their barrels, something like that. So it's very acceptable. The main deal is you have to make your reticle level with the world for every shot. So for this first run, all right, what I want you to do is, no matter what your level, because we're not gonna actually slip that right now, it's just like, hey, you had a scope on a different gun, you was out hunting, your primary gun went down, you want to use that weapon system, you've got another scope, you slapped it on it, and we're fixing to get a good quick field hasty zero. Shoot out to distance, and you're going to see that you're hitting all the targets. But it's a good question because a lot of people buy a lot of expensive equipment to make sure their gun is level with their reticle.
So then the most important thing to remember with that, since people are really religious about leveling their scopes to their gun, doesn't matter because it's actually leveling the scope to the world. That's what really matters. So there's really no point in being anal retentive with being really level, right?
Absolutely. Not if it's just slightly off. You know, I wouldn't want it to be extremely canted, you know, obviously.
But you could, I mean, I can get on here and eyeball it pretty good. It's going to be fine.
You can get on there and eyeball it. Usually what I do for field quick, hasty level, I'll actually push the weapon system away from me until I see the reticle lining up with the Picatinny. And I just want to make it offset 90 degrees to where it kind of creates a little T at the bottom. There isn't any angle in that. So you can take it and just loosen it, adjust it to where your steady align runs right down in the middle of your Picatinny rail. At that point, tighten everything up, get down behind the gun, make sure you check it to see if it's good and close, and then from that point, rock and roll with it. The main deal is make sure your reticle is level with the world. There isn't anything that you have to have exact. You know, there's nothing wrong with it being exact. You know, if you want to take the time and make sure it's all perfect, that's fine. But it's not going to affect your accuracy.
But people don't need to go, oh my God, something's going to be wrong. I mean, because it goes against every book and everything that I've ever read or been taught was, hey, you got to make sure your scope's level with the gun. Which what we're saying here goes against everything out there, every manual, military manual, it says level your scope to the gun. But you don't need to if you can eyeball it on there and it's good to go.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the way the guys actually lay down behind the gun. They're going to make sure that gun's in the same position, and it's going to start canting their reticle against the world. You know, our deal is we focus on the reticle. We don't focus on if the gun's here or slightly here. All right, if you think about it, this is even more ergonomic than this. All right, so having my hand slightly kicked out, you know, a lot of the big time competition shooters in Palma shooting and that kind of stuff shoot with it that way. So I think we're getting out of some of the myths, you know, about what's important and what's not important. And, you know, and that's what we try to work around and really just use a common sense approach to everything that we do. All right, everybody, go ahead and grab your PDA. Let's plug in the atmospherics. Barometric pressure 27.14, temperature 71. We're keeping our humidity at 50%. All right, your first target's the far left one on the range here. All right, Mike, go ahead and take your 05 and lays that target for me and confirm, please.
238.
All right, everybody plug in 238. What you're gonna do, guys, you're gonna put whatever hold it is, you'll be somewhere around 0.6 mils, give or take a tenth, whether you're shooting a 300 or a 308. All right, you're gonna use holes right now. We gotta figure out where you're at. And you're actually gonna dial until you hit the target with that hold. That means your crosshair will be zeroed at 100 meters. Make sense? All right, if you run out of elevation adjustment, you're gonna have to figure out where you're at. And you may actually have to zero your gun possibly 2 or 3 mils high. All right, then I'll show you, we'll talk that through and we'll plug it in the PDA. So Mike, you're gonna be my first shooter, you ready? Okay, wind's not blowing that much this morning. We're probably only looking at about 6 miles an hour. All right, about 4 miles an hour is the first time you really start feeling wind on your face. So it's relatively easy to notice 4 mile an hour winds. All right, right now, obviously you can feel it coming in on the right side a little bit more than that. So it's probably between 6 and 8 miles an hour. The country down there where we're shooting to is exposed to the right wind, so it's actually gonna be increasing a little bit. But even at 4 miles an hour, we're 236 meters. That's only 0.2 right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start out with a 0.4 hold right. All right, go ahead and get center body shot. Actually, I think you actually hit low.
Thought it was low and left.
All right, I want you to hold. I tell you what, sometimes it's really kind of hard to hold 0.6 on the right side and make sure you're still level when you don't have any good reference points. So go ahead and put your crosshair right across the top of his head. His head actually mills right at 1.3 right now. So we'll be able to mill down from where you hit and tell you how much you need to adjust up. Right side of his head. All right, go ahead and give me a shot. All right, your elevation wasn't that far off. It looks like you're only 0.2 low on that one, but you're way left, all right? You impacted about 1.3 left, so we know that bullet should not be more than 0.4. So give me 9 clicks right on your scope. Now you should be hitting with a 0.6 for your gun, correct, or a 0.7?
0.9.
0.9. All right, now you only hit 0.2 low that time, all right, from your crosshair. So I want you to go ahead and come down 0.7 mils. All right, same hold, top right edge, top of the target with your crosshair, right edge of the target with your vertical stadia. All right, go ahead, give me a shot. All right, windage is now correct, but you impacted at 1.4 down. All right, so I want you to come up 0.5 mils. All right, you're perfect at 0.9 now. All right, you need to add about 2 clicks left for wind, and your gun should be zeroed. All right, so as soon as we run through everybody, now you're gonna move out and shoot targets further out. You should be good to go. All right, Travis? All right, give me a 1/2 mil hold on the head. Hold center.
And that'll be kind of interesting, Todd, because that was sighted in for Steve's Win Mag, which is an entirely different platform.
And you're correct. He did hit high too, so from his 1/2 mil hold, he's actually needs to come down probably 7 clicks and come right 3. And now we're gonna get a little bit more refined hold because we know we have him on target for this next shot. So he's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna put his crosshair right on top of the target's head. His vertical stadia line is gonna be on the 3 o'clock side. And all this does is gives us something to refine and measure off his impact. All right, fire when ready. All right, that was just off the right side. So with that weapon system, with a 6 mile an hour wind, I really want you impacting around 0.3 left. All right, so I need you to dial 2 clicks left right now. Give me 3. All right, go ahead.
Same hold.
Yeah, same hold, fire when ready. All right, excellent. What's your hold need to be? What does your PDA say?
It was 0.85.
0.85, all right. Your bullet actually impacted at 0.7. So come down 1 click. Confirm, same shot. All right, you're just off the right side. Make sure your scope's level. Give me 1 more shot. There you go. All right, all I do now, I need you to come 2 clicks left, and we're gonna call it good. All right, Chris, you're up.
Now this is got a little bit different crosshair than the 58, so do I hold center crosshair?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have you hold center in probably right at the bottom of his neck to get you somewhere in an area where we can see. Guys, you can actually do this on a rock on the side of a hill. You don't have to have targets. All right, just find something where you can see impacts, and then you can make your adjustment. All right, crosshair, bottom of the head. All right.
I don't know where that is. That in the head slightly?
Yeah, you actually hit nearly center head. Now you need to actually, what's your hold?
My hold is 0.58.
0.58. So you actually impacted nearly, you're 0.7 high above your crosshair, and you need to be at 0.6. So I need you to come down 1.3 mils. And I need you to come left.
Shoot, I bottomed out.
Where'd you bottom out at?
I only
How
had
many
3
clicks?
clicks.
You only got 3?
Yeah, 3
All
down.
right, no problem. So you're gonna be a meal high.
All right. And what do I need to come left?
All right, you're gonna come left. Give me 4 clicks left. All right,
Same hold?
same thing, same hold on his chin, crosshair. All right, you're only 0.2 high, and you needed to be at 0.6, so you're 0.8, all right? So I'm gonna show you something that's a little different with this gun, all right? What I want you to do is go ahead and grab your PDA now and go to range card. And there's several different ways that we can do this, guys. We could actually scroll down under range card until we find a 0.8 mil hold. That's what he's hitting with, all right? But the problem is he's at 236 meters out, all right? So, or 238. So what would be your hold? So y'all think about this. What would be your hold if he needed to hold 0.6, but he's hitting basically 0.8 above that right now?
0.4?
Now he would have 1.4 on his gun. So what I want you to do is scroll down right now until you see 1.4 mils.
All right, I've got 1.41,
What range is that?
345 meters.
345 meters. All right, so what I want you to do is go under gun information and change your 0 to 345. Now once you do that, I want you to look at your main screen now and tell me what it tells you for a firing solution for 236.
Hold negative 0.82.
0.82. How many tenths of a mil did you hit high?
Then that would be, I would have held, you just said 0.8.
Yeah,
So
so you was 0.8 high from your other hold.
we were able to correct it in the computer.
Yeah, you can actually correct it in the computer.
That's awesome.
All right, Steve. All right, right 2 clicks and you're done. All right, now we're gonna do you different, Steve. We're actually gonna change your 0 right now to 236 in your PDA. And you're gonna do modified holds after that. So we have different people. We have some people actually zeroed, all right, with their actual hold for 100 meters. You're gonna go ahead and zero your gun for 236. All right, under gun, down where it says 0, change it to 236. And it's gonna give you an adjusted hold as you go out. Instead of being, 500 meters holding 2.8 mils, now you already have 0.6 on your gun. All right, so it'll be 1.9 mils, and that's it. All right, we already know what the gun's muzzle velocity is. All right, so now we go back through the process quickly, to confirm. If you want to, you go out and you true, and then you go out and shoot a course of fire. We should be trued, so we're gonna go ahead and go out and shoot a course of fire. All right, guys, to confirm our alternative field 0, look down the road at the far left side of the road, just past the curve. There's a target at 610 meters. All right, go ahead and plug in your dope for 610 and go ahead and give me a shot. All right, Chris, we'll start with you. Just off the left side, add 0.4 right. Don't dial, just hold it. Holding wins is much faster. You do a second shot correction much quicker. There, nice hit. All right, Travis, you up?
And I'm gonna put 1.2 on it,
Probably a little bit more, come to 1.5 now.
1.5.
Nice, good shot.
That's awesome. Wow, that works. That's hard to believe.
I mean, you just can't.
Took the scope off, redoped it at 235, and then entered in a variety of different information between you and me, and then just got that one at 610.
All right, Mike, you up?
I am.
No pressure, Mike.
All right, so you doing headshot?
That was almost a mil high.
You held 5, right?
I held 5.5, or 5.4.
All right, then give me 5 mils. Hold 5 mils and give me 1.3 right.
Center body.
Send it. Nice. All right, guys. So you can see it really doesn't matter. You can change scopes. You don't have to be scared about touching your scope. Once you get a 0, it's not some kind of voodoo thing that may only happen once in your life. You know, you can do field zeros really fast. They're accurate, they work. You just have to be real refined with what you're doing. You don't want to step out too far on your actual field zero though, to where the algorithm may separate, like at 400 or 500. If you know your velocity, you could actually do that.
To be able to change it in a computer with what happened to me where, you know, we're going, I know I could have slipped the turrets on this particular scope, but to choose not to, and like you say, enter in that data and then put one out at 600, you know, that's really kind of a cool thing to see what the electronics and how it can all come together. So that was pretty awesome.
To reiterate, we're at a range where we don't have 100 yards of paper. We've got to do it with what we got.
Exactly.
And we zeroed at 236 yards and then confirmed at 6, so we now have our 100-yard zero again.
Well, and a lot of this is problem solving. You know, you got to think out of the box a little bit. You can't be afraid to, you know, jump out and shoot with a 300-meter zero or a, you know, 236-meter zero. Or you may have, like Chris, a 317-meter zero right now. So once you understand it, it all goes back to the basics. Once you have the basics, the fundamentals, everything else is pretty easy. What we're going to work on today is a wind formula that I come up with to actually make the wind easy. All right. A lot of the guys that actually come through the class, you know, the formulas that we used to use, range times wind divided by 35 to actually give you your hold in mils, or divided by 10 to give you your holds in minutes of angle, or a constant, you know, that's constantly changing. All right. What I found was, if the wind's, that may work good when wind's 6 miles an hour at 600 meters, all right, that's 36, I'm gonna hold 1 mil. That's pretty simple math, all right, that's not hard. But now give me 17 miles an hour at 800. Do the math real fast. What is 17 times 8? All right, so you go through it and you go, well, 8 times 10 is 80, 8 times 7 is 56, so that's 136. 136 divided by 35 is what? All right,
Steve,
so, come on, Steve, hurry.
Let me, hold on a second.
All right, the problem is it's not fast. All right, so what I did was, I knew what the answer was. That was the easy part. All right, what we had to do was develop a formula that was third grade math, so we could stay on top of it under stress, gather it very quickly, and it was easy for the guys. They didn't have to pull out a calculator to actually do the math, or even utilize a PDA. A PDA is probably the best tool we've ever had for long range shooting, but it's just a tool. It's not a crutch, and we can't depend on it for every day for every shot. All right, so when we look out here today and wind's blowing right now anywhere between 8 and 12 miles an hour, whatever the range is, we're going to move that decimal to the front of the range. So if the target's 500 meters, it starts out as 0.5 mils. All right, so once we do that, and that's at all ranges. All right, now once we do that, when it's 0.5 mils, now if it's 4 miles an hour, we're going to hold 0.5, because the 308 that we're shooting today is based off of 4 miles an hour. 8 miles an hour would be times 2 of the range. So at 500 meters, if the wind was blowing 8 miles an hour, we would hold times 2, it'd be 1 mil is our hold. So we'd be holding into the wind 1 mil. All right, if it's 12 miles an hour, 4 goes into 12 3 times. So we're gonna be 0.5 times 3, we'll hold 1.5 mils into the wind. All right, it's that same way at 300. If it's 8 miles an hour, 3 times 2 is 6, because there's 2 4 mile an hour winds into 8 mile an hour wind. All right, so if it's 0.3 for 300 meters, we're gonna hold 0.6, 0.3 times 2. All right, so every 4 miles an hour, we're gonna hold the distance of the target in 10th mils. So if it's 600, it's 0.6. If it's 20 miles an hour, we'll hold 3 mils. Be 0.6 times 5, because there's 5 4 mile an hour winds in 20. Make sense? And it's just that simple. It doesn't have to be hard. All right, now, when we start refining it, you're gonna see about 700, 800, 900, you add 0.1 to the initial. So if it's 700 meters, you're gonna change it to 0.8. 800's 0.9. 1000's 1.1. Make sense?
It does.
All right, so we'll get kicked off with that today. Now, one of the big questions that I get a lot is what matters the most? Wind at your position, or wind at the target, or wind halfway in between? And the reality is, every bit of it matters, all right? If we were back on the south side of the ranch where it's just flat, the wind at your position is a good wind, because it's a known. We can pull out our Kestrel, we can put it into the wind, our little weather station, we know what the wind is. And as long as nothing obscures that wind all the way to the target, that's a good wind call. And as long as it's a full value wind. All right, but the problem is out here, that's why we come out here. There's a lot of terrain features. All right, so you may feel wind right here and we're off the shelf a little bit. You may be feeling 8 to 10 right now, but actually up above this crest up here, it may be blowing 12 to 15 miles an hour. But down off this hill, it's not going to be blowing but maybe 6 to 8 miles an hour. So now you have to look at the terrain features and how wind is actually affected by terrain. So if wind's going over a cliff's edge and starting to bull or eddy going down the hill, the wind value is less. So you have to look at the terrain and assess the value of the wind at that point. If you have a big canyon running into the wind, when it comes out of that canyon, it's pulling into that canyon, it's going to be picking up speed. So you have to look at the way the wind is channeled by terrain coming out of that canyon and the speed that it'll have, because it's actually had more time to pick up speed. As it starts to go uphill, you're going to see wind compress. All right? As the air compresses, it's going to pick up speed going uphill. So you have to look at each segment of the flight path of the bullet and ascertain what the wind hold is for each segment of that wind call. So the first 400 meters may only be a 4 to 6 mile an hour wind, and the last 600 meters may be a 10 mile an hour wind. Well, you figure the first, you figure the last, and then you add them together or subtract the two. You'll see on our wind course, there's actually one of the courses of fire, because of the terrain, that you'll have a right wind on the short range targets, and the long range targets will have a left wind today. All right, so you're going to have to make a wind call on the first 200-300 meters from a right hand wind. Once you make that wind call, then you make the next 600 meters with that value of the left wind. All right, so now you have to subtract the two and take the shot. All right, so your bullet will get there. It's going to make all those corrections for you, but you can't just say our wind today is 10 miles an hour at my position. But you can't say that doesn't matter either, because wind at the target may not be blowing at all for the last 300 meters on some of these shots today. So we have to look at the target, we have to look at halfway to the target, and we do that a lot by focusing out, all right, on our spotting scope. So we'll actually look and start focusing out and focusing actually in closer. We'll look at the target. We're already going to know what the wind call is at our position, so we're going to look at the target and ascertain whether the wind is the same value or not, or what value it is. All right, and we do this by looking at mirage. So as mirage, you know, today the actual mirage is going to be blowing pretty good. A 4 mile an hour is a very visible, very recognizable mirage pattern. It just has nice big waves that just float flat across the ground. They're not trying to really lift. All right, once you starts lifting with the same, you know, waves, it's about 3 miles an hour. 2 miles an hour is going to lift at about a 45. 1 mile an hour is a bull with a direction, you know, to the bull. So we'll go through this and let you look through the spotting scope today. Remember, range times the value of wind in 4 miles an hour. So 8 miles an hour would be times 2. Obviously 10 miles an hour would be times 2.5. 6 miles an hour is times 1.5. 14 is times 3.5. All right. Now, real quickly, if the wind's 9 miles an hour, all right, all we have to do is times 2 plus 1. All right, it's that quick. Now, up to 600 meters, you could actually, on a 14 mile an hour wind, go times 3, that gets us to 12, and then plus 2. All right, so that gets me to 14 miles an hour. After 600 meters, I don't need to do that anymore, because the reality is if I go to 800 and it's 6 miles an hour and it needs to be times and a half, all right, that's a different wind call by 0.2 mils than if I did times 1 plus 2. All right, because that times and a half of 8 is 0.4. All right, so if I just do plus 2, I'm off my wind call nearly a minute of angle right now. All right, so I need to be aware after 600, we do the 1.5, 2.5, times 3.5, times 4.5, whatever the wind is. But anything under 600, I can do the, you know, times 1 plus 2, times 1 plus 1 for 5 miles an hour. For 10 miles an hour, I can do times 2 plus 2. For what is 7 miles an hour, times 2 minus 1. That makes sense? So it's very simple, all right? This math is really simple, 3rd grade math. You look out at the target, it's 400 meters, it's 0.4. Wind's blowing 12 miles an hour, 0.4 times 3 is 1.2 mils. Hold left and shoot. Hold into the wind and shoot. All right? We good? All right, let's go try it. All right, everybody, starting out first of every day, all right, or anytime you get a good change of atmospherics, you want to replug in your atmospheric conditions. All right, barometric pressure is 27.14. All right, you want to make sure that this is referenced to 0 underneath. We do not reference it to the altitude that we're at. Right now, about 2,600 feet. All right, we want to reference it to 0. All right, so that way the computer is generating a firing solution for the density altitude the bullet is flying through. All right, next we go to temperature. All right, the temp is 76 degrees, and as we increase through the day, as it gets hotter, we'll start changing it. All right, so we will always want to be aware of our conditions. Relative humidity is still 50. Same thing, check a true real fast just to verify. All right, we know there's about 800 meter for the 308s. We've got a target at 784. All right, the target is on the center range in between the bushes. Mangong target. Wind's blowing about 12 miles an hour. All right, for the 308s, remember what we talked about. Every 4 miles an hour is the distance of the target. 784 rounds to 0.8. Then we add 1, so it's 0.9. Times 3 is 2.7 left. All right, guys, you got to be really aware and shift with your wind call. As wind gusts, you're going to have to add. All right, when I say add, if the wind picks up 1-2 miles an hour, you're going to add 0.1, 0.2 mils. So from 2.7, if the wind gusts 3 miles an hour, we may go to 3 mils. But if it dies off, and we'll try to watch, most of us have enough power in our optics that you're actually able to see wind. All right, if you cannot see mirage because you don't have enough power in your optics, a lot of people say that too much power, the mirage will blow you out on your target. You can't shoot. Mirage is your friend. That's what's telling you what the wind's doing. All right, so you can always power up, check your mirage, power back down to where you're comfortable taking the shot. All right, but having the power, there'll be 90 times a day when you need more power. If you're at 10 power, there'll be 90 times a day you need more power. We're not worried a whole bunch about the low end of the scope. Very seldom do I shoot long range at 3 power. Right? In a wooded environment, something I can't see very far, obviously urban environment, that kind of deal, 3 power is good. All right, gives you a big field of view. What we're doing is long range precision work. The more power we have, the better we can shoot. So the 308 start out at 4 miles an hour times the distance of the target in 10th mils. So we start at 0.9 times 3 for 12 miles an hour. That gives us 2.7 hold, and we'll adjust off what the wind's doing downrange. Now Steve's shooting the 300 Win Mag. It works off every 5 miles an hour. So 12 miles an hour would be times 2.5. All right, so he can go in and take 0.9 times 2.5, and he's going to end up with 2.2. All right, you got that, Steve? All right, Travis, you ready? And your computer says what for elevation?
8.24.
8.24, all right. Wind's dying off a little bit. Go ahead and give me 2.5.
2.5.
2.5 left. All right, just off his right shoulder. All right, so go ahead and give me 2.7. Good job, nice hit. All right, guys, it's really important to watch your cant right now. We're on unlevel ground right here, shooting at a target that is on a big cant to the right on the hill in front of it. All right, and that was a little bit of the problem there. So, all right, Chris, go ahead. Give me 2.6. Wind's picking up just a little bit. All right, that's on the left side. All right, so go to 2.4. Hit. First shot was just off center of the base, so we know you have a good true. Second shot hit just on the favor right side of the target, center body. Good shot.
It was about 2.8 wind. Is that what you held, Chris?
He held 2.5.
Yeah, 2.4, 2.5.
It was just cant.
Okay.
It's
That's
really.
Because that's what I think I did, is I compensated for cant by adding more wind when I didn't really need that much.
Yep. All right. You ready, Mike?
I am.
All right, looking at the wind, go ahead and give me 2.5. 2.6 left. All right, you're just a little bit low on the target off the right side. Watch your cant, make sure cant to the left a little bit. All right, does that look better?
It does.
All right, go ahead, stay with the 2.6. Fire when ready. All right, you hit. All right, Steve, you up? Good. Let's just go ahead and try you on the same target to start out. Plug in 784. We would normally go ahead and push you out to a further distance, but we'll show you that you can actually make it work here if we refine what we're doing. It's not optimal, but it will work at this range.
670 in the hold.
All right, give me 6.7. All right, every 5 miles an hour, wind at 10, that's 2.5 times the 0.8. We go to 0.9 times 2.5, it's 2.2 left. Yeah, all right, that was 2.2 left.
Yep.
All right, elevation was good. Your cant's what's getting you cant left, come left, come left. All right, try that, 2.2 left. There, better. It's just off the right side of the target.
So his cant almost
That cant
caused a mill.
Yeah, it's a mill. Remember we talked about 5 degrees of cant equals a 10th mill every 100 meters. All right, so at 800 meters, with 5 degrees of cant, he would impact 0.8 right. All right, so he's nearly dead on his wind call. Go ahead and give me 2.4, Steve. Watch your cant.
So basically he's off by a mil
Yeah,
Yeah.
that cant.
for all intents and purposes.
All right, give me 2.3. Hold left, 2.3. Hit. All right, good job. All right, that's why it's really important, guys, to have a level on your gun. When you start shooting these long ranges, you know, you're not on a golf course. Most people don't realize, because they shoot at normal ranges where you're on a flat berm, that the bulldogs came in, they made another flat berm that you put your targets in front of or on top of. You have trees behind it. It's real easy to make everything level and line up. You don't see it. But you get out here, you know, maybe you're hunting in Colorado or Utah or Wyoming or Montana, or you're downrange. You know, when you're doing that, you have elements like this: rolling hills, valleys, cliffs. Nothing's really level out here. And like I said, we don't even hang our targets level for that reason. We don't want to let you cheat. All right, we want you to actually calibrate your eye to what's level. So as you can see at 800, it's very easy to be 0.4 mils off. That's why having a bubble on your scope is extremely important. All right, that's why for the military, and it's a military only product, we actually made bubbles, Accuracy First Development Group did, for a bubble with a tritium level inside of it. Since the boys fight a lot at night, now they can actually ascertain whether the gun's level or not.
Well, what's crazy is
with the
back
tritium.
here, I mean, back here, it's not even the appearance of being slightly crooked. I mean, that we're canted that much to the left
It
to
looks
be
like
level.
it.
So
Your
it looks,
your
yeah, it looks
perception is
so
that it's
unlevel
really
back here.
unlevel back here.
Yeah.
Because I have students all the time that I'll say, hey man, you're canted. He goes, no man, I look great. And then I'll go in and I'll set the gun up level and walk away from it, and he gets down on it, he goes, oh, no way. And I'll pull another student off that I know is shooting a level gun, and he'll can it back to level, and the other student will go, you know, it can't be level. And we'll bring out the eye touch, and he'll agree that it's, you know, it's level, and then he has to calibrate his eye. But it's much easier just to put a bubble on your scope. All right, there's multiple bubbles. There's Picatinny rail, there's scope mount bubbles. There's ones like Travis had that actually is a 3-position, that fold in, fold out, so the thing can actually move around, whether it's in a case or you're humping it or whatever. So it's something that's, you really need levels on your gun. I really didn't think so, but like I said, I grew up shooting scoped rifles since I was 6 years old in this type of environment. And so it was something I didn't really understand how many guys could actually be off, and I'm still off at times. You know, I'll line up and I'll check my bubble and I go, oh crud, I need to move over a little bit and get, you know, back level. So it's not just, you know, new shooters, it's everybody. And a lot of times I really believe that most shots that are missed, that are just not, when I say most, at least 50% of the shots that are just barely off one way or the other is actually due to an unlevel scope. All right, just a slight amount of cant, and it puts you off 0.4. All right, 2.5 degrees is actually hard to see for most people. So if you're just barely off, we do a second shot correction, and you go, well, the wind's doing something downrange that we can't see. All right, so from that, we go ahead and make that one wind call, and now we think we're pretty good through the rest of the day because we're retaining that same cant through our shooting. When the wind value isn't really what we're shooting, but because of cant, it makes us get impacts. All right, so we actually cheat the system. But out here, that's why we have a course here, move over 40 meters, and we've got another course pointing in a different direction. And we do that on, 6 different courses. We have a wind course for that reason. So you're moving around constantly. You're not shooting in one wind value. We can't cheat the system. You're gonna have to make a wind call every shot, all the way as we move around these hillsides. All right, so now that you've trued your gun, make sure you go ahead and save your gun. All right, and guys, like I said, every time you do your atmospherics, make sure you're looking at a reference 0 barometric pressure. It's very important. All right, now what I want you to do is, if you have a laser rangefinder, whether you're using the Mosquito or the PLUR 15C, go ahead and laze the targets. All right, if you don't have a laser rangefinder, I want you to go ahead and mill the target. So you'll mill the width of the target. The target's 16 inches wide. All right, has a 12-inch head. All right, you can actually mill the total combined together if they're not overlapping. You can mill the head, you can mill the body, do the TR under target, the mill relation formula. You know the size of the targets now, you plug it in, you actually plug in what you mill the image size, and then hit done, it'll automatically give you a firing solution. All right, if you have a laser rangefinder, for now I just want you to laser the target, all right, then plug it into the nomogram, the whiz wheel, or go ahead and plug it into your PDA, see how they marry up, and then go ahead and take the shot based off what they said. All right, wind call right now is about 12. I'm gonna let you start working your own wind calls, start feeling it. If you noticed a while ago, when you're in winds like this, you gotta be constantly changing. Like right now, the wind just lulled. You gotta take 0.2 off right now, off your wind call. If you don't, you're gonna be burning the offside edge. All right, so right now, every time you have to be looking and studying and calculating that wind. So as a baseline of 12 miles an hour, in the lull, we'll take off a little bit. In the high winds, if it starts to gust, we may add 0.1 or 0.2. All right, so run a baseline of 12, off that, add or subtract until you get the actual wind call that you're looking for. And then do a second shot correction, move to the next target. So Chris, which one are you looking at?
There's that one right at the curve and then slightly up from the hill from there.
Okay, let's go ahead and mill. You're gonna mill the head of the target? With the crosshairs at the bottom of his head. If you look up, it's about an 8, so go ahead and hold 4 mils. Give me 1.8 left, give me 1.6 left. Fire when ready, 4 mils elevation. Hit, you're good. Now you continue with that, Travis. You ranged the target, correct?
I did.
And it ranged out as what?
525.
525, and your hold?
4.1. Getting about a 12-mile-per-hour wind.
And you're up the hill by the bush?
I am. Square head, right side of the road. So for wind, about 12 miles per hour. So
all right, so 500 starts at 0.5, right? 12 miles an hour, be 1.5 left.
1.5, okay.
It's just on the edge where it's starting to crest and go up a little bit, so wind's gonna start picking up. There's a canyon to your left, so we can anticipate that the wind may actually be a little bit more going through that area with the terrain features. So go ahead and give me 1.7 left right now. The wind was a little bit more. You see, just went off the right side. Your elevation's perfect. All right, and you got a good level bubble?
Nope, that's what it was.
That's what it was. All right, so go back and give me the 1.7 left. Just barely right, all right? Just make a full second shot correction. 0.4 to center. There you go, excellent. And when we're talking about that full second shot correction, what you don't want to do is baby step it over, guys. If he hit 0.4 right,
Do 0.4.
instead of being 1.7, we need to be 2.1. Get in the center of the target. It's always better to be strong than it is to be on the weak side. All right, it's never got a chance on the weak side. Plus, we want to bracket it. All right, so if you know your math formula gave you a edge hold, all right, you know the bullet's moving some left to right, so why not go ahead and aim off the left side a little bit? If you're just going for hits on steel, you need to favor and bracket your target so you're shooting at a full 16-inch target instead of an 8-inch target. Mike?
I'm gonna start with Chris's first target.
The round head.
Round head.
All right, bush 14 mils to the left. All right. All right, and you lays that target at what range?
499.
499, so it starts out at 0.5. Wind at 12 miles an hour, be 1.5 left. All right. Go ahead.
I'm gonna try for a headshot.
All right, go ahead. All right, that wind, do you feel the wind die right before you pull the trigger? All right, that was my bad. I should have pulled you back. All right, so you feel it's still dead. So go ahead and give me a 1.2 mil hold. 1.3, 1.4. We're just gonna be changing their headshot. You see what we're doing?
Yes.
Once we make our baseline call of 1.5, then it's my job, you know, if you have a spotter, to continually be changing that. That telling this guy that he has to shoot as close as possible, the wind call, is correct, but if the spotter sees a change, it's his job to do it. Your job is to give me the most accurate shot you can give me. That doesn't mean a hurried shot. If I'm seeing a wind change downrange, it's my job to give you that correction. I can't just blurt something out and just hope you get a hit, and now it's because you didn't shoot close to my wind call that's actually off. So it's my job to actually have told you, hey, come down to 1.3, give me 1.2. Continually be talking, letting the guy have confidence his wind call is correct. Right now we'd be up around 1.6 on that target. All right, Travis, where you at?
I'm at 717. It's a small 12-inch head plate.
All right, I'm on it. Got it.
717, so I've got 7 mils elevation.
Yep.
And for wind, I would go 2.4.
All right, 17 turns to 8. 8 times 3 is 2.4. Oh, it's a good wind call. He's just off at 10 o'clock off that little 12-inch plate.
A little high, 10.
Just favor high, really, right at 10. If we'd have been 0.1 mil inside, we'd get a guy to hit. All right, Mike, you good?
Yeah.
All right.
675. Target up by the bush.
Roger that. 675 goes to 0.7. 0.7 turns to 0.8, right? Yeah. 8 times 3 is 2.4. All right, wind's lulling, go to 2.2. 2.1, 2.2. 2.1.
Parallax adjustment.
Yeah,
Stand by.
good job. Always adjust your parallax, make your target in clear focus every shot. Your ocular focus should never be touched again once you've actually set it at 100 meters. All right, give me 2.2. Dead center hit, good shot. All right, now constantly work on that as we're changing. As you know, we called a 2.4 wind, but it started lulling, so we started making those corrections every time. All right, good shot. All right, Steve-O, you're milling targets?
Correct.
Where you want to go?
Second target back, left side of the road at the bend.
I see the target that you're talking about. Go ahead and mill it. What do you get?
About 0.5.
All right, that's a 12-inch head in height at 0.5. He should be right at 610. So what does the PDA say?
610, 4.3 hold.
4.3. So go ahead and give me 4.3. Now your time's 2.5 on your wind, all right, because it's 5-mile-an-hour winds. If we're dealing with 12 miles an hour, it's actually back down to about 10 now, so only do times 2. So 0.6 times 2 is 1.2 left. All we do is take the range of 0.6 for 610 every 5 miles an hour with a 300 Win Mag. 10 mile an hour wind be 1.2. Go ahead and send it. All right, you're just barely off the right edge, but you're actually a little bit high. All right, wind's picking up. You can feel it. Give me 1.5 left. Drop your hold by 0.4 elevation. All right, you're 0.6 to the right now. Watch your level. That's what it is. I can see it from here. There you go. Make sure you're level. All right, same elevation, but let's go back to our wind call. Wind's probably 10 to 12 miles an hour. So that's 1.2 to 1.5. So let's just bracket that. Put 1.2 on his left side. 1.5 will be center. Go ahead and send it. There, nice. So yeah, we just make a fast bracket. We know it's 10 to 12, 1.2 is left side, 1.5 would be center on that side's target. All right, where are you at, Travis?
I was thinking about that 1,200 meter plate.
All right, let's go on out and shoot at the 1,200 meter target. All right, so go ahead and plug in 1,217 meters. We're gonna go at the back far target. All right, so now when we actually go out to 1,217 meters, all right, what I want you to do at first is I want you to go into range card and I want you to scroll down until you see an asterisk beside your range.
Okay, at 1050 it starts asterisk.
All right, so you see an asterisk at 1050. All right, that's what that's telling us is that's where this bullet is going into subsonic flight. Well, once a bullet goes into subsonic flight, you're going to start losing gyroscopic stability. All right, you may even start losing some of it in transitional or transonic flight. All right, so once it starts losing gyroscopic stability, basically what you're going to have is more drag on the bullet due to the more surface area exposed to the oncoming wind. What is drag? All right, drag is BC. All right, so you have two types of drag, density altitude drag and BC drag. All right, it's still just drag. So when you shoot out at distances in subsonic regions, you're going to have to actually change the BC because that's the variable that's actually changing. All right, so we know from shooting out at these ranges all the time, you know, 12, 13, 14, 1,500 meters, 1,600 meters at a mile, we know about how much change there's going to be, but I'm going to walk you through the process real quick and show you how you can actually find out what your subsonic BC is and run an extrapolation table based off that.
Okay.
All right?
And so everybody understands that we're about to take a 308, which most people say the max effective range would be between, I mean, depending on what, you know, organization you're with, 800 to 1,000 yards. And we're about to shoot at 1,200 with no problem.
Yeah, so we're pushing out 1,217 meters, you know, probably half again what the effective range normally was thought of the weapon system. All right, so go ahead and add 1 mil to your hold right now. So what does the PDA tell you?
Target is now 1217. 19 mils.
19 mils. So I want you to go ahead and hold 20 mils on the target.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead and line up. And everything that you do right now is going to show up big. So loading your bipods, and this is part of the class. By shooting at these extended ranges, we actually start seeing everything that you do wrong behind the gun. All right. So
Which really goes back to what we talked about a long time ago, which is all fundamentals and consistency.
Absolutely.
So as long as you're consistent with your fundamentals, and what we're doing now might look like more advanced technique, but as long as we apply to fundamentals, we can do it.
And now I'm also zooming back from 25 power to 10 power just so I can see my 20 mil reticle line.
Exactly. Since it's the first focal plane reticle, as you back off in power, you're going to actually get to see more mils, as opposed to a second focal plane reticle that the reticle actually stays the same size. And what Chris was stating earlier, it is just fundamentals. That's one of the main reasons we push out to a mile with 308s. It's kind of like it's a tool. Once you understand how to use that tool, I tell people, you know, when you change your alternator, you have to buy that one wrench that's shaped like a 90-degree angle. You may never ever use it again unless you have another alternator go out. But when you need that tool, it's the only tool that'll work. So it's just better understandings, you know, a broader understanding of all the fundamentals. But if Travis doesn't do everything exactly right each shot, it's really going to show up at 1200. And at a mile, it's even going to be more. All right, so
In wind here, I'm looking at 10 miles per hour out there, averaged all the way out, 4.2 mils. And
Okay.
I'm also seeing some spin drift coming here, almost 0.3.
yep. So
Left.
go ahead and let's just go ahead and hold 4.5 left. Holding 20 mils on the target.
4.5.
Just off his right shoulder. All right, just go ahead and give me 0.4 more mils left. Send another one. All right, that just impacted just off his left forehead. All right, if you look at those two shots, we're actually just a little bit high. You're holding center body, correct?
I am.
All right, you're about 0.2 mils high. So the 1 mil that I gave you extra probably needed to be 0.8. So go ahead and hold 19.8 center body. And go ahead and give me 4.3 mils left. All right, the wind lulled. That was 0.8 left. So we'll watch the wind, make sure it doesn't change. Go ahead and bracket off, come to 3.6.
That's pretty weird through there because of the way those two kind of plateaus come together and
Yeah,
come
there's-
up on that other hill.
As you can
so-
see, we have two big canyons on our left side allowing wind, and there's another canyon even before we get to that last one. So we have 3 different canyons of winds creating different velocities. All right, go to 4 mils for wind, go left.
Hit.
Excellent, nice. All right, so you can actually see your elevation though was from basically headshots just above his right shoulder to just off his left forehead. All right, that's an 8-inch head at 1,600 or at 1,217 meters. All right, so then when we moved you down, you were just off left side center, which was still within that exactly where he was holding, and then he got a center body hit. All right, so really the weapon at 1,200 meters is really holding about an 8-inch group right now. All right, and that's within all the errors that we present into the problem in our shooting. But that was really good. All right, so now what you're actually going to end up doing is you have to actually true out your BC, all right, because that's a variable that's actually changing right now. So we go through the same process of the truing drop, but we true our BC, and then we plug in our previous conditions under our drag coefficient table.
So that's I mean, from everything that I've always been taught or seen and heard or read books about, it's pretty amazing to show that the bullet just showed me everything I needed to know. And it's so controversial out there when people even think about going with a weapon system like this past that range. And from what I know with you, you can push it even farther.
Absolutely. And basically, we just let the bullet create the formulas for us. We're not doing anything, you know, wazoo. We're not coming up with anything just hairy, scary. We're actually letting the bullet develop the formulas for
It's
us.
science, yeah. It's
Yeah.
work, and it's, I mean, I'm curious to see how much farther we can go with it.
We will. We'll continue pushing on. All right. All right, guys, now we're on the wind course. All right, on this course of fire, it's 360 degrees. All right, we're going to be moving from one target to the next. Next target's 40 degrees off the line that we're firing now. The value out of this is normally when you get on a range and you're going to be shooting in a certain direction all day long. All right, you make your first wind call, you make a correction, you pretty much build your own algorithm in your head pretty fast. You know, everybody's smart enough that you see, hey, maybe it's a 7-mile-an-hour wind down there, so you do all your math on that. Pretty quick, you're building your own algorithm in your head without ever really making another wind call. All right, so what we do when you come out here, it's 360 degrees. You're having to make a wind call every target. Every target's going to be different all the way around this. We're starting right now, nearly pointing due south. All right, our last target's going to be pointing southeast, but we're going to go all the way around to get back to it. All right, so once we get started, I want you to look at the terrain. Terrain's going to tell you everything. Right now, winds gusting between probably 14 and 18 miles an hour. All right, so when you look at that, this first target, if you look at the wind, it's coming from our 11 o'clock position. All right, 11 o'clock's about half value. All right, so immediately you're already coming down to probably a 8 mile an hour wind. As you get wind wrapping around this hill in front of us, you got about the first 250 meters, pretty much a non-value wind. It's coming straight into you. So the next 250 meters, you're gonna actually have to make a wind call. But the problem is you have a big canyon scooting off to the southeast. All that wind is going to be flowing off over there and sucking down here around us. So there is going to be actually more value of wind in the last 250 than what we're filling up here, or actually what we're going to incur in the first 250. All right, so starting on the right, Chris, target range is 503. All right, once you plug in your data, based off your wind call, and think about it, the wind's only coming about 8 miles an hour right now. All right, so for your gun, every 5 miles an hour is the range in 10th mils. It's 500, so it starts out as 0.5. At 8 miles an hour, you could nearly do times 2 minus 2. All right, so it'd be about 0.8 mils. That would be for 8. All right, you ready? Go ahead and make your wind call, feel the wind. It's very important. Like we talked about earlier, always change your wind call based off what you're feeling immediately. Don't get locked into a wind call. So when you're sitting here, wind's all of a sudden blowing in the side of your face on the left side, and all of a sudden it hits dead on you, you need to take off a little bit of that wind. All right, so I'm gonna let you.
0.6 right now, is that good?
All right, go ahead and try it. Beautiful, excellent. All right, Mike. Let me hold you up, Mike. Let me throw something out real quick. What you see a lot is something that Chris did, but he waited, he did it right, all right? The problem is rapid bolt manipulation, all right? A lot of times they're taught, especially in the Marine Corps, to run rapid bolt very fast. What we have to be aware of is information is the most important thing that we're getting out of this shot right now. You need to know where your bullet hit. So as soon as you saw it hit, you aimed the bolt, got your gun back up in the fight quick. Just same with the second shot correction. If that was a deer or a coyote out there, you'd shoot, watch the bullet impact, run your bolt fast, you're back up, make your good second shot correction, send it as fast as you can, making a good shot to where you're actually shooting in the same environment of wind. All right, but if you shoot, run your bolt, and you don't know where you hit because you moved your optics while you were running your bolt, you know where you broke the shot off. So you don't have to tell me, hey Todd, man, I was about 0.2 left when I broke the shot, and I look at it and I go, okay, well you were 0.3 left, so all right, really that's 0.1 correction. All right, all that takes time. What'd the wind just do while I'm explaining it? Wind cut down to nearly half value what it was. So now I have to give you a complete another wind call. If you shoot, watch where your bullet hits, run your bolt fast, make your correction, send it. You're shooting in the same environment, and it's actually a more knowledgeable shot because your body position allows you to see that shot. All right, so you can make a very knowledgeable shot off of what you saw, where the shot broke, where the shot impacted, and you can make a more knowledgeable and faster and probably more accurate second shot correction that way. All right, sorry Mike, go ahead. Now that you have your wind call and we messed with you for the last 2 minutes. Nice, very nice. So what was your wind call?
0.7.
0.7, excellent. All right, Travis.
3.5, 0.7.
Fire when ready. The wind's picking up. Very good, bottom right edge. Still got a hit though. You caught it though and you came up. If you would have stayed with the 0.7, you'd have been off the right edge. Good call. All right, Steve. All right, run your bolt, make your second shot correction. Nice, good job. All right, Make sure you load your bipods every shot. It's very important to do everything the same way, all right? If you don't load your bipods, your gun's gonna recoil a little bit differently. You may impact a little bit high. Again, we're not on nice level ground. We're not on a golf course, all right? So you're gonna be in weird positions. You gotta make sure that scope's level every shot. If you look 40 degrees to your right, you're gonna actually see a pond, all right? So I want you to get up and shift your body around, and there's gonna be a target there and a target but further out. So everybody go ahead and shift position. All right, guys, now we've readjusted probably, if you look at it, really probably honestly about 50 degrees to the right. All right, now what you really got to pay attention to is what the wind's doing. All right, now the wind is actually coming from the same 11 o'clock position off where we were firing at, which is not quite a full 90 degrees. All right, so we're not at a full 100% value right now. All that wind's being sucked through this saddle over here on the right side. So wind's going to compress, it's trying to move through this saddle right now. But down there at the target, we're gonna be going off in the bottom part of the hill. All right, so at the target, there's gonna be less wind. Up here is this bullet goes over this cap rock here. All right, that's gonna be the highest wind value. All right, so you have to look at the wind. Wind's blowing right now, probably real close to about 16 miles an hour. And I would guess that's gonna be real close to a 3/4 wind value. All right, our next target will be closer to nearly the same value, then our fourth target will be full value. All right, so again, we're looking at 3/4 of 16, which is 12, right? And usually I cut that down right off the first. I look at the value of the wind, the cosine that it's blowing in from. I already go ahead and make my cosine correction. 3/4 wind value, I'm already looking at 12 miles an hour. As you can see right there, wind just came down to about 8 miles an hour. All right, so we're gonna have to make that adjustment as we go. All right, so a 3/4 wind value of what you're feeling. All right now is about 14. All right, so Chris, and the best thing to do is don't look at doing a whole bunch of math and then recomputing it. Figure a baseline and then sit there and figure off that what the wind's doing and make your corrections. So baseline we're gonna say is probably right now about 15 miles an hour.
So for me, about 1 mil or 1.2.
All right, target range was 435, right?
So I'm
So
on,
that starts us at 0.4.
correct.
Yeah, the 1.1, 1.2 would be really good because that's times 3. That'd get you up to 12 miles an hour. And I'd rather you be on the strong side than on the weak side. So let's go ahead and feel that wind.
Yeah, it just died down.
Yeah, good job. Starting to pick back up. Stay with your first call. Very nice, very nice. All right, now the wind's really gusting for Mike.
Okay. Range 435.
435, wind's gusting nearly 18.
That's about a 3 mil. 3 mils.
All
My
right,
elevation, wind call.
wind's dying back a little bit.
About 1.1 on the low side.
1.1 on the low side of the wind's good. We're in a good medium wind right now, slight to
gusting.
gust. So if you take your 1.1 as your wind call, hold center, and as it starts to gust, you just move it left in the target. All right, starting to
Gust is
gust.
stronger. About 1.3.
Staying constant at the high wind. Very nice.
Nice shot, Mike.
Very nice. All right, you hit on the left side, but that's good. You were averaging, you were looking at the wind, and you were playing the wind. That 1.1 was a good wind call. All right, but you made your target bigger.
I've got a question for you,
Yep.
Todd. I mean, with us being right here and all this grass in the way, and I mean, there's a good chunk of stuff in front of us. My question, I guess, is, I mean, is it having an effect? Does it not matter? I mean,
No, it
everybody
won't
says
matter.
don't put it in front of you. So
Yeah, your bullet's not going to be affected by this type of grass and what we're shooting through right now. Now, if we were shooting through brush, yeah.
That's a big misconception too, because they'll
that's what I
say,
was curious
some
about.
people will say, and I've heard it as a kid growing up hunting, that if you hit even the smallest piece of grass, it's going to deflect your bullet.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll say, even a blade of grass touching your barrel will mess with the harmonics. Don't believe it. We'll tie 550 cord around your heavy barrel. I wouldn't do it to a hunting barrel, all right? But around your heavy barrel, we'll tie 550 cord right at the end of your forearm, wrap it around a telephone pole, and cam into it, pulling on it, and you'll still shoot shots at 800 meters in a standing position. All right, you'd never ever think of doing it that way. But it's just the lessons on harmonics. Plus, you have a short barrel. I love short barrels. They're stiffer, right? Less harmonics, less harmonic shift, less impact shift with cans as we go can on, can off. So I'm a big fan of fast twists and short barrels. All right, Travis.
All right, I got 2.9 elevation.
Yep.
Steady 14 mile per hour wind, 1.47 is what I got for wind, so I'm gonna hold 1.5.
All right, feel the wind starting to back off now. Nice shot. Wind came up just as you was breaking the shot. That was really nice.
Yeah, and I dropped the wind off about
0.2?
0.2.
Yep, good job. All right, you ready, Steve?
Yes, sir.
All right, wind's picking up a little bit.
2 mils hold, and I'm about 1 mil, a little strong to the left.
All right, you're shooting a 300, so your wind call won't be quite as much as theirs.
So it's about 1/2 mil.
It's not quite that either. It's you're probably looking at a 3/4 wind off what they were holding. So it's every 5 miles an hour. Give me 1.4 left, same elevation hole. Favor bottom third of the plate. 1.4 left, aim and squeeze all the way through. Let it be a surprise break. Nice, perfect. All right,
See what trigger control does, Steve?
Amazing.
all right. Everybody bolt up. We're gonna move to a different position. Now we're gonna move again about 40 degrees off to the right again. All right, so we'll get up, move into the next position, and we'll lay back down. Next shot's gonna be 783 meters. All right. Now we're just moving to the next target that's straight up above that line. This target's about 591 meters out from this position. So go ahead and plug it into your PDAs. All right, think about the same wind conditions that we talked about earlier. All right, we've still got wind blowing a constant 12, 14 miles an hour. It's not really blowing that much at all. So we're still dealing with about a 3/4 value though. Wind's starting to shift from our left, more in front of us. So now it's not a half value. I'd consider it more of a 2/3 value. All right, Chris, you're up. Wind's starting to blow again. Wind's back up around 18. Down to 16. Back up to 18. 2/3 value. Pay attention to the direction, the way it's hitting your face. All right, back to 3/4 value. 18 mile an hour. All right, just off right edge. All right, the wind was just starting to gust. Go ahead and make your full second shot correction. All right, still off the right edge. How much did you move it? Need to come 0.4 left from where you're at.
That's what I tried to move it over.
All right,
So I'm almost on 2.
all right, pay attention to the wind. Gusting and lulling. You're in a pretty constant gust. There you go.
That was 2.
Good deal. Nice shot.
That was a solid 2.
All right. Make sure your scope's level. Remember, if you don't have a level on your scope, you can look over the top of the turret and get it visibly pretty level, and you're not going to be far off. All right. You'll actually have more of a problem looking through the reticle and ascertaining if it's actually level or not. So start out looking right over the top. All right, Mike, you up?
5.1 is my elevation.
All right.
And let's die down.
Now starting to bleed out. Here it comes back. Pretty strong gust. Nice. Good job.
So Todd, quick question
Yep.
for you. For me, once I kind of was in that gust, I decided to put it on 2 and leave it on 2. So at that point, do you have more of a, are you making kind of a judgment, which is, hey, I'm gonna either hold for more max wind and break my shot in more of the high wind situation, or wait for the lull and then break your shot there, vice trying to, go back and forth in between.
Like you did when you broke the shot and it was off and you said, okay, I needed to hold 2 meals, all right? If the wind stayed constant, man, I'd move over and do a second shot correction. But if I made the 2 meals swing and all of a sudden the wind was actually dying down on me, then I would start chopping off what I thought was my gusting wind to my medium wind. And if it was from 18 down to 14, then I just jump down nearly the distance of the target because it's nearly the 5 for you.
Was holding the 2 mil dot
Yep.
in the center of the plate, and as the wind came up and down, moving it left and right.
Yep, that's what you need to do.
Okay, instead of
could've
just
dropped down
kind of
0.5.
ambushing it there and then waiting for the wind to come up, because we may not have an opportunity
Right. I was
Yep.
to wait. Okay.
Yeah, you may have to take that shot.
All right, understood.
So,
I was chasing it the whole time.
Okay.
yeah, and that's when guys start really maturing in their shooting. It's when they don't have to lock in and wait for a medium wind to hit. They make one wind call and they wait for that wind call to get there, your actual wind value to come back. So you got to be constantly changing and understand how much wind's going to move that left and right. If you was using the PDA, you'd actually plug in, hey, it's gusting from 13 to 18 miles an hour, and in that we'd know where our swing was. So it may be a 1.2 all the way to a 2 mil hold, and if it was dying, we'd all of a sudden we'd know it's 1.3, so we'd drop down to 1.3, then jump up to 1.5 as it kept gusting, come on up to 2 mils.
Okay,
All
thanks.
right. Travis?
All right, 591 meters. I got a 4.9 elevation, 1.8 hold on the wind, 7. Oh,
All right.
that wind shifted there or something.
Good level?
So that was, I need to go,
Scope in level?
scope was not level.
There you go. All right, so you were about 0.6 mils off,
Yeah.
and that's how far you are. So you probably had about a 5-degree cant. Hold the same wind.
Okay,
Give me another shot. You good and level?
good and level.
All right, wind's gusting up a little bit more, add 0.2. So you're at 2 mils now. All right, it's dropped out just off the 8 o'clock. Load your bipod, make sure you maintain bipod. Check your level.
You said I was off the right side?
Off the left side, 8 o'clock position on the target.
Okay, we'll go back 1.8.
All right. All right, that actually hit right at the 6 o'clock on the stand. Dead center for wind, so your wind call was perfect. Just come up about 0.3. Hit.
Nice shot.
Good job. Excellent. A lot of times it's just that load, getting that consistency. We're not in a real comfortable position
No.
right here too, so a lot of times it's
I got rocks in places that I don't normally would like them.
All right, Steve, you up? Your 1.6 was good a while ago. Use that 1.5. Go to 1.6. Bottom edge of the plate. Nice. Good job. All right, guys. The next target we're going to shoot at is 770 meters out. All right, we're probably looking at really close to about 110-degree swing from where we started out. All right, winds gusting anywhere from 12 to 16 miles an hour right now. It's not blowing a whole bunch, but it's certainly blowing us off enough to get off a 16-inch target. All right, so go ahead and figure out your dope, 770 meters. All right, now we're in a full value wind. All right, so if it's in its gusts, it's going to be times 4 for the 308. All right, so we're at 800, really close to 800, so it's 0.8. We add 1, that's 0.9. All right, so at that distance, we're probably looking at close to 3.5 mil hold. All right, as it's lulling, all right, that's going to be basically 4 times the 0.2 off. All right, so we're going to have to be aware of that. So if it's 14 miles an hour, it's only going to be times 3.5 of that 9. All right, it's really lulled. Chris, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, wind's only probably about 10 mile an hour right now, so it's times 2 for you. So give me about a, starting to move, give me about a 2 mil hold. Or you got something else?
I was in between 2 and 2.5.
Okay, go ahead. Let's start out in the lull and at a 2. starting to pick up a little bit.
That's 2.
All right, it was just starting to pick up a little bit. All right, yep, go ahead and go to 2.4. Just off the right edge. All right. Scope looks good and level. Go ahead and move to 2.4, wind died down. Stay at 2.4, it's picking up, go to 2.5.
125.
All right, picking up, go to 2.6, fire when ready. Still off the right side. All right, picking up with the wind, wind's gusting, go to 3 mils. Hit, nice. All right, Mike, you up?
Yep. All right, 8 mils for the elevation. And my wind hold will be 3.2.
All right, starting to lull a little bit, picking back up, gusting. Back down to medium wind, wind's dying. Nice shot, good job.
That was 2.9.
All right, excellent. Way to play the wind. All right, Travis.
Same thing, 8, elevation 2.9.
All right, fire when ready. All right, you just off the right side. You feel that wind hit us
Yeah.
right after you broke the shot?
So
It actually probably hit the bullet's flight path before it got to us. All right, so go ahead and make full second shot correction. Move to 3-3.
same thing.
Yeah, just off the right edge. Good and level. Scope looks level. All right, nice hit. What'd you have to move to?
3.2.
All right, just a little level then. All right, Steve? All right, go ahead and fire. Wind's gusting. I'd be 3 mils on the left side with your gun right now. Hit.
Nice, good
Good
job,
job.
Steve.
Nice shot, buddy. All right, guys, let's get up and walk the wind course. All right, guys, we moved 180 degrees off where we were firing a while ago. All right, first target's 532 meters out. It's just right off that pyramid point to the right, going up the crest of the hill about halfway up. All right, wind value is still about the same. It's backed off to about 12 miles an hour, but it's only about a 3/4 value. So figure your wind at about 9 miles an hour right now. All right. So Mike, you're up first.
Seems like it's a lot further than 500 yards.
It does.
Yeah,
Just because there's no land in between us and that thing.
And really, that's the deception there is you're seeing all the ground. That's one reason that max point blank, you know, really doesn't work that well. It works really well when you're talking short distances, but when you start doing estimation by eye of range, and you're in an element that's not your home environment, it really gets to where it's really deceiving. You start missing a lot of shots. So that's when we teach, you know, doing flash meals, getting something really nice and close for an actual meal, and then holding an associated meal on it. So, or actually really milling the target or ranging it, because you'll see the target here in a minute, 635 meters out, and it looks like it's 800 because you see a lot of the ground, then you don't see the next canyon. It's setting up on top. So the range estimation by eye works for close range stuff, but it really doesn't work well when you're not in your home environment and you're shooting across canyons where you can see all that ground. All right, Mike, you up?
I am. All right, so I got 4.1 mils elevation, and I'm gonna hold 1 for wind.
All right, that's good. Watch the wind as it's picking up, but I think you'll be fine. Nice hit. Good job. On your boat. There you go. Nice. Pretty shot. Just favor right in the target.
That one I was trying to do what you said last time, which is float it a little bit, because I could feel the wind changing a
started
little
to pick
bit.
up just a little bit. You're making your target bigger. That's smart. Bracketing the size of the target. All right, Travis.
3.8. 1.3 wind.
Watch the wind. She's dying on you a little bit.
1.2.
Still dying. Good hit.
Nice shot.
Nice job.
All right,
All right, next target. Tighten your can. All right, stay in your position. Just swing to the right, guys. We're just shifting fire. All right, target range is 528. All right, but be aware, guys, we've shifted more into the wind. We have more wind value. All right, wind's still about 12, but it's nearly full value. We're probably looking at least 3/4 to full value. So bracket in between the two. Mike, you got it?
On target.
All right, fire when ready.
Wind looked good, right?
Yeah, wind's
high.
just barely left. Did you hold 1.3?
I did.
All right. Now, you look at the target. Target's 500 meters out. It starts at 0.5. Full wind value of 12 miles an hour would be times 3. So it gives you a 1.5. Go ahead and try it. Wind picking up slightly. Go to 1.6. Hit.
Nice shot, Mike.
Nice job.
That looked dead center too, huh?
All right. You ready, Chris?
Yeah, I'm floating between 1 and 0.8.
That'd be about right. Just off the left side, 9 o'clock. Did you hold 0.8?
I was right in between 1 and 0.8.
All right, just swing over.
Go more solid 1.
Yeah, give it a solid 1.
Elevation, all right?
Yeah, elevation's perfect.
Oh, wow. I must have pulled it.
Now watch the elevation line you're on. Nice, good shot. All right, Travis.
All
As
right.
soon as it quits swinging a little bit, or if you want to time it and try it, go ahead.
3.8, 1.5.
Just off at 1230. Just barely high. Could be. All right, nice hit. You know, a lot of times when you're shooting out there like that, that's, 528 meters. Your cone of fire probably for that weapon system's at least, 3 inches. So it's, sometimes you'll just barely be over the top and the next same shot will hit. But you probably came down a little bit.
I came down.
Yep.
I adjusted quickly on the reticle.
Good job, nice shot. Next target, 575. All right, this is full value in from the right. Target range is 575, that moves to 0.6. All right. Wind values, what would you say, close to 12 to 14?
So for me, I'm holding like 1.4.
On 300?
Yeah.
At 0.6 would be times 2 plus 2. Yeah, 1.4. 1.314.
All right, here's 1.4 at the bottom of the
Yeah.
target.
Mike,
2.
go ahead. You're looking at 0.6, which really could turn into 0.7 times 3 is 2 mils. You've already bracketed off.
Yeah, I'm holding 2.
All right, hold 2. Watch the wind lulling. All right, wind picking back up. Nice. Right in the right side, right off his sternum, halfway to the edge. Good shot. Right in his heart.
That was
Directly
low.
low.
What did
Good
you?
wind call.
What's your elevation, Mike?
Elevation was 4.9 mils.
That was me on the trigger.
All right, it's just off right edge. Just aim and squeeze, aim and squeeze. Your wind call was correct on the first shot. All right, nice hit. All right, Travis.
4.9, 2 mils of wind.
All right, pay attention to the wind. Good call. Nice. Good shot. All right, Steve-O. All right, just off left shoulder. Hit. Good job. Hey guys, how'd y'all like the wind course?
Well, for me, the diversity and shooting with the wind coming from different directions, I don't have an opportunity to be able to shoot in an environment like this, let alone trying to read wind at you. Just like you said, you're having to read wind at you and out there, and there's a lot of different things that are happening. The perception of how far away the target is. I'm used to that flat range where you can kind of count your 100 yards all the way down and go, that's 500 or that's 600. And here, I mean, that one target that we just got done shooting would appear to me, if I was to guess, to be an 800-yard shot, but it's really only 500 and maybe 50 yards. So that, just reading kind of that terrain and seeing the how valuable maybe a laser rangefinder is, or proper milling at that point, if that's all you had as a quick opportunity, because the eyeball, it's not going to get you where you need to be. The other thing is, with this H58 reticle, for me, not having to turn anything, and to be able to, if I'm doing the fundamentals correctly, being behind my gun, to be able to watch where that bullet splash ends up, even though I made a bad wind call, and to take that splash and drive it to where the target is and pull the trigger for a follow-up shot, it really helps somebody, at least like me, who doesn't have a lot of experience behind the gun or having to constantly do corrections on the turret. So for me, it's a lot more simplified. I really like it.
You know, it's the environment which obviously helps us out here. I mean, you don't get an opportunity to shoot like this. I mean, even in the military, it's that KD course range. You know, you're shooting out to 1,000 yards on that perfect, you know, golf course. And when you get out into a reality situation like this, it's just an unreal experience to be able to like those two last targets we just shot. That one over there looks like it's 1,000 yards away, but it's the same exact range as this one right here, that looks 300 yards away. It's just a real great experience, because I mean, most guys out there, and specifically sniper roles, are playing precision, and I've done a lot of it in my career, where I felt like I just keep failing and failing and failing because I'm guessing, you know, and I'm guessing, and it's just like, well, that'll work, I guess. And out here, you really find out what works because of what the bullet tells you, and because, like with this equipment, the reticles, the technology, it's like this huge art of precision. I mean, it's so complicated. The equipment and guys like you, thank God, have taken that world and made it even more complicated, which makes it easier for us, which doesn't make much sense, but it does when you get out here, and it does when you do this, and you use this equipment the right way. You let the bullet tell you what it's doing, and it's just a great experience.
Part of the fundamentals of just learning to read how the gun is set up at the scope, especially in the cant on the gun, that just was a huge eye-opener to myself as well, because again, we're shooting normally on a flat square range. You know, everything is marked off, the distance is already preset, predetermined, and we're behind the gun, and everything's leveled, everything's squared up, everything's true. But you get in this terrain, and the terrain features are changing, the perception of it all, and then realizing what you think the gun is set up straight, it's not, and you realize once you get more of a cannon, a heavier cant left or right on the gun, that in turn with reading the wind really adds up. That's really a good part of the fundamentals, truthfully, of learning the system for myself.
Yeah, and that's the big value of what we do when we come out here and do training, is get you off that golf course. You know, we're trying to get you in a real world environment where you're not laying on level ground, sorry, but that's kind of what we brought you out here for. And you're shooting in real world environments where there's terrain features. You know, you're shooting on a flat range, or shooting in woods where they've cut out a strip of woods, and you don't have that kind of wind value constantly changing. When I normally go into a base somewhere and we have a range that's, you know, been locked on 3 weeks out, that's the range that we have for that day. You know, and that may be the range that we have all that week, but we don't get to bounce around and swap ranges. This is kind of like 10 days of training wrapped up in one, for the learning curve that you're getting out of it, because it's not, you don't get to shoot for 30 minutes and then move over and shift and shoot for 30 minutes, make a couple of misses, get your wind call down, shoot for another 30 minutes. Here it's one target, next target's already a big shift in the value of the wind. So what you actually learn by shooting this way is really calling wind, because on a normal range, you're gonna make 1 or 2 real wind calls in a day, and then you're kind of fudging around it. But here, you're forced to really have to make that wind call every single shot.
Well, that's the thing for those guys out there that are, whether you're a hunter or whether you're that guy overseas putting foot to ass for your country, I mean, you don't get to choose the moment. The moment's going to choose you. And sometimes you got to take what you can get, and that's the bad thing about it. I think that institution or organizational inertia of sitting on that same range for a week and shooting over and over at the same thing, that's to me, a training scar.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those deals. We do what we got to do, and we don't have the opportunity because of, you know, range fans and that kind of thing to actually shoot the way that would be best on normal installations. We're always pointing towards an impact area somewhere, and that's why my goal was to bring the guys out to an environment like this where the terrain features, you know, are really there and they really do move the wind around, so the guys can come out and actually lay down and get 10 times the training value that they could on their own base somewhere out in an environment like this, where today is really nearly what we consider a no-wind day here. You know, 12, 14 miles an hour, and it gusted up to 18 today.
Well, that's the funniest part. I mean, a lot of people won't even go out to the range when it's 20, 25 mile per hour winds. They're like, it's too windy. It's too windy for me. It's a waste of ammo. When it's not.
Yeah, and actually you'll find that you get a lot of confidence once you're out here and you shoot in 20, 25 mile an hour winds, 30 mile an hour winds, shooting at 8-inch plates at 12-inch plates at, you know, 900 meters. The guys leave the range after a week, 10 days of training, and they feel confident. If the wind's blowing 23, they're mad when they miss that 12-inch plate by an inch, you know, and they're just having a fit. But it's inspiring because you know they have confidence. You know, I had some guys show up one time, it's like wind blowing 40 miles an hour, and the higher command called up and said, hey, y'all stay out of trouble. And he said, hey, sir, you know, he's making us shoot every day, you know, and this stuff. He said, we're watching the weather, stay out of trouble. And he said, you know, they told me really when we were out there shooting, they didn't feel like we'd actually be able to do as well as we did during that training cycle in that high wind. And then when they left, when the wind was only blowing 20 to 25 miles an hour, their confidence was super high that they could hit every target out there.
Well, I think that's where the bottom line is like when we first came out here today, even in 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, I started cringing. I'm like, oh man, we're actually going to shoot in this. And the confidence boost is, I think that is the bottom line. We preach failure points every single day in our own you know, methodologies and in our core principles, and that's exactly what this is a failure point that on that ladder of excellence that we've all reached up and grabbed one higher because now we're confident with 20, 30 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, my failure point has been with this gun is just gun setup. You know, I had a real long length of pull, and every time I came out here and I'm trying to get behind the gun, I'm trying to get as straight as I can, I pull the trigger and, you know, the gun jumps and I can't even see where that bullet impact is on my grid on that 58 reticle. And at that point, you know, the gun dives down, and, you know, the funny thing is you figure it's on the ground, I'm behind it, I'm going to stop it, but as you get into, you know, 300 Win Mag or 338, it's really important for that gun to jump straight back. And today, after just removing one piece, just something as simple as gun setup that you covered yesterday, by removing one piece, that gun's jumping straight back, recoiling straight back, which allows me to see that hit or miss, primarily that miss, which is most important, and then do a quick correction on it, where normally I'm trying to hurry up and manhandle the gun back just to try to see did it hit to the right or left, but I can't even measure whether it was, you know, 0.2, 0.4, or 0.6. I can't even measure it. I'm just like, well, I was to the right. And now I'm actually a little more detailed just in getting into gun setup.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to what you say, you know, if you spend a little bit more time on proper gun setup, it helps all this out here, you know,
and
but if
really,
not, it's just a compiled train wreck.
And we really have to take the time as type A personalities to really set up the gun properly. You know, most of us have shot for most of our life, you know, and so it's real easy to take it for granted and jump on a weapon system and go, yeah, I can make it happen. All right, the value that you got out of actually setting up the gun properly is huge, as you saw today. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, the other side of the coin, in actual training on the winds that we got to train in today and changing every course a different direction of fire, with all that combined, normally what we could have done on a normal flat range somewhere, you know, on your normal range, it had taken us 5 days to get to the level that y'all are at today. Y'all were making excellent wind calls on your own, you know, so I was just there as a backup to kind of make you think, hey, watch the wind, it's slowing down, that kind of deal. But y'all are already at the level to where y'all are already building that confidence, you know, and it's one's from basic setup, just like you're saying, because now with the basic fundamentals, setting up the gun properly, doing the right things behind the gun, now you can actually take that shot, see where the impact is. But you gain the knowledge of each shot, and that's what we're here for. You know, and then it really becomes, you know, a self-learning tool. once you have everything set up right. You know, once you get the base formulas down, really long range isn't that hard. You know, long range can be really made pretty easy. It doesn't have to be that hard with the math. That's when we kind of slowed everything down and made the formulas that third grade formula, you know, to where we can do it quickly and we have confidence in it and it works.
You know, coming from my division, you know, wind is one of the single biggest variables we deal with on an everyday basis on the airborne operations side of the house. And that's a variable we have to learn to respect and read properly for our calcs or whatever it is we're doing driving parachutes. And I see a lot of the similarities between mechanical turbulence examples and some of the methodology we preach, but seeing all that put together, you know, there's a lot of controversy out there over, you know, which wind is the important one, the one at the gun or the one at the target. And just your no-nonsense approach to it's all important. It's all valid, and showing us that bullet flight all the way from the gun out to our target, and you know where you're nipping a little bit off and where you're adding that value back in, and how to come up with a very complete picture of that firing solution and how to read that wind. It really simplifies the whole process.
Hey Todd, thanks for a really great and informative day. You know, it's just a quick reality check, and that's awesome. So thank you very much.
Well, y'all are a fun bunch to work with. You're all real knowledgeable shooters. You're real mature in your shooting. So, I mean, you're just going to get better and better, and this is going to just get easier and easier. All right, guys, I told you I'd get you on at a mile. All right, we've got a target out there at 1,609 meters, but guys, you got to be very careful with your level. Anything that you do wrong on your fundamentals is really going to blow up and magnify itself here. All right, so utilize the PDA, utilize what I taught you on going past the mile shooting in subsonic regions of the flight path of the bullet. Really apply the fundamentals, and you'll see that this really isn't that hard.
Well, Todd, this kind of goes against everything most people, I mean, well, specifically for me here, and I know Mike, because you're running 300 down there, right?
Yeah.
Mike and I are running 308. Chris is running 338, so he's not going to have a problem here. I'm running an 18-inch gas gun in 7.62, and I'm about to shoot out to 1,760 yards or, you know, 1,600 plus meters. So I don't have a problem trying this, but my gun might, right?
Not really. You'll be amazed at the group, the elevation group that you'll hold. Now, wind's wind. Wind's going to be tough. A small gust, you know, during the flight path of the bullet, whether it's halfway or at the target, it's going to move you off, you know. So we're going to fire as quick as we can, as fast, you know, as fast as possible to the same environment to make that second shot correction for the wind. But you're going to be amazed at how tight your groups are at this distance. You know, it's one of those deals, I don't think it was even tried very much because we didn't even know where to look for the strike of the bullet, you know, and normally you're going to be several mils low. You'd be several mils low to where you might not even see the strike of the round.
Yeah, I know for me, I mean, it's still saying that I've got basically 1,166 feet per second left. I think what Travis is saying is we grew up with 800 yards for semi-autos, 24-inch gun, good shooter. Is probably, you know, we've heard guys doing, you know, 1,200 yards, holding on, you know, 12 stories up, you know. So people have done things, which I equate that as to just a good shooter, you know, really good fundamentals, just those, you know, those small percentage of professionals that are out there in this community. But now we're taking these other guns, these 18-inch guns, and actually running them to double of what people say that they should be and can do. So
I still have, even with 308, I still had almost 850 feet per second.
Yeah, so what does that equate to? What other weapon system has near 900?
45 ACP.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we actually, you know, we did some ballistic testing on some tissue here last week with another group, and, you know, the bullet went all the way through the pig at a mile with a 308 shooting a 175 grain bullet. So it's very capable, you know. Now, the reason we teach it is anything that you do wrong is going to magnify itself, so we can pick it apart and tell you, you're going to see, you're going to know when you broke that shot what you're doing wrong. Y'all been shooting long enough, working on the fundamentals, so when you go, all right, hey, that one's on me, you know, I didn't load my bipods, you're going to see huge magnifications of those small arrows once you stretch out to this range.
Yeah, it's a great, I mean, if I can hit this, that's a huge confidence booster too past the,
Absolutely.
don't take this past 1,000 yards where I come from.
And another thing that it does, once you hit it a mile and you understand the math of what made you be able to do that, really what you're going to feel is that 800-meter headshot really isn't that big of a deal anymore. So it does boost your confidence in a huge way. All right, let's do this. All right, Mike, you up?
Yeah, 37 mils of elevation. It's the heavy steady of my reticle's obscuring the target,
Yep.
so I'm gonna fudge it a little bit,
All right.
hold half of it and dial half of it. I'm gonna dial 1.5 and then go off my stadia. So that should give me a solid 2.5 right there.
All right, go ahead and send it. All
Oh, I got a
right.
cant.
Yeah, check your cant. Your bullet impacted a meal to the right. Elevation was good, just top of the head.
So I need to come left a little more.
All right, go ahead, Trav. Wind's picking up, go to 3 mils. All right, you're just short, Trav.
Wow.
Come up half mil. All right, you on 37, Trav? Or you're holding 29 right now, right? All right, Trav, go.
You holding 3?
Yep, 3 mils left. Make sure you're on 29. You've dialed 8 on your gun. All right, watch your cant. Impact was about 1.5 mils right. Send it. Oh, just off the right side. Go ahead, rock and roll. Run your boat, keep your gun, keep your head on the stock. You don't want to change your cheek weld or anything as you're doing this long range stuff. All right, that was the left. Watch your wind calls. Elevation's good. All right, good job, Steve. All right, Mike, go ahead. You're holding 37?
37.
All right, give me 3.5 wind. Wind's picking up, give me 4 mils. 4.5. Oh, hit. Good job.
Nice shot, man.
That was nice.
Thank you.
2 for me wind-wise.
Yeah, probably 2. You're gonna be about half what he was. So give me 2.2 left. Wind's dying back down, go back to 2. Chris, go ahead and give me 2.2 left. Down to 2. All right, wind call was good. You're just a little low. Make sure you keep your bipods loaded. You're 0.3 low. The last one's 0.3 high, so that's probably just same pressure in that buttstock every time. All right, go ahead. Same wind. Good job, man. All right,
Good job, buddy.
Trav. All right, watch your cant. Cant was good. All right, wind downrange must be in the same direction. It's just starting to blow up this canyon. All right, come 4 mils left. Send it. Stay close as we can in the same environment, so be ready to get back on target. I give you a correction. All right, good fast second shot corrections. Keep bipods loaded.
4?
Yeah, give me 4. All right, you're a mil low. Is that 29? All right, verify, 29, give me another shot. Wind was good. Give me 3 mils and add a half mil elevation. Send it. Just 0.3 left, come 0.3 right. Same hold. Drop down 0.4 mils.
That was good wind though.
Hey, wind's good. All right, nice shot.
Nice.
All right, so as you can see, it really ain't that hard. You know, you get some fluctuations if you do anything different with your loading or your bipods, any cant in your weapon system. And as you see, a slight wind change downrange is a mil difference in your wind call. So you gotta make, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you gotta pay attention to, but the weapon's very capable, you know, of actually making that kind of shot.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Todd, I had to get kind of creative with this here because I've only got 22 mils elevation on my turret here.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times what we'll try and do is what we call stacking mils. We'll actually line up with our crosshair, and if it's a 4 mil hold, we'll line up and measure 4 mils, and then I'll come up to my hold on that 4 mil spot.
That's what I did on my horse over here.
Yeah, so you can actually find an aiming reference point that way, especially when you're not using a horse reticle and you've got something like this. On most mil-dot reticles like he's got, where the duplex line gets heavy, 10 mils down, 5 mils more of the duplex, 10 mils down from the crosshair, there'll be a line. Well, from that line to the edge of that line is about a half a mil. All right, so you can actually dial and hold that fine tick. You can dial windage and elevation. But as you can see, man, making small adjustments, you're dialing here, you're dialing there, it's taking a lot of time. Where Travis is just shooting, making corrections, shooting, making corrections, shooting, instead of having to reach up and be dialing. Plus, you know, mechanical knobs, man-made mechanical knobs aren't always perfect, you know, and that's another reason we like to do pure holes, especially for these type of corrections, get it something down there fast. A couple of days ago, y'all were shooting at 1285, and I mean, you're all over it. I mean, you're shooting groups like this. You had at 1217 the other day, you had 4 shots within 8 inches in elevation. All right, so it's really—
With a gas gun.
Yeah, with a gas gun. So it's really just kind of relearning and rethinking it a little bit, and then applying the tools to the job. All right, guys, that's about it. All right, I've really enjoyed it. As you've seen, really, nothing high speed about this. Really, it's long range, really made easy. Just applied fundamentals, good gear, everything else just falls into place.
Some people may look at this and because people's perspectives are always different, meaning, you know, the long range hunter is going to help him get a better shot, you know, maybe put that animal down or make shots that maybe they weren't able to do originally. And maybe it's that moose or something that they would never have gotten before, but now they have. But I think the bigger picture is what you're doing with the military community. And that's where some people are going to have a hard time swallowing this pill, because what you're doing is you're taking the specialness out of being a long-range operator, so to speak. And what I mean by that is I don't mean to take away from that person, but if people don't really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, meaning the simplicity is for the guy on the ground who is now getting fired at, or they have to take somebody out who could possibly be hurt in a whole nother unit, and the speed and the simplicity is what is going to help them do that. So for me, I really appreciate you doing that, because you know that the bigger perspective is the world's bigger than just you
Absolutely.
or us. There's a lot of other factors that go on, and you know what, at the end of the day, I may not be special. I might have another guy who walks up off the street who is really good with just normal shooting fundamentals, but now he can actually do rapid engagements, understand what he needs to do to achieve those engagements in a time is life situation that we deal with all the time. And you know what, I don't give a crap about the guy who doesn't feel special anymore, because we need more of the other people in that time is life situation to have that common sense, simplistic approach to be able to put people down fast. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes you're not out there handing out Hallmark cards. I mean, there's a business and there's a job to do, and that job might be saving somebody's life or your own or other teammates that are happening. So I like the fact that you're making it easier for the ground pounder, for the other operator, aside from the hunter as well.
Yeah.
The hunter's not going to get killed. Hopefully he's not going to get, you know, pummeled by some damn bear at 800 yards. You know, get in your truck, take off, start running, do something, for God's sakes. But that military person, their ass is on the line.
Yeah, and really that's what all this is about. It's not about us. We enjoy it, we have fun with it. And on the civilian side, you know, it's nice to push your limits and enjoy long range hunting or long range shooting. But really our focus right now is America's at war. And we're trying to help the kids in every way that we can, whether we're staying up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning developing new formulas, working out new programs for the kids to actually go through, to actually make them, you know, to where it's easier for them to actually gain that knowledge. The problem is most people want to think you're putting yourself on a pedestal. I'm nobody. I'm a cowboy from West Texas. That's all I am. And really, to be honest, I'm not a cowboy. I've known several cowboys in my life, all right? But that's a very special deal to me, what they do. You know, being a cowboy is something different. I'm not even a cowboy. I'm more of a rancher farmer, you know. I'm a long-range enthusiast. I'm not a sniper. I'm not an LA sniper, a military sniper. I enjoy long-range shooting. What drives me is I want to help do my part to help the kids make it back home and do their job.